All right. Hi, friends. Welcome to sibylslab of Cartomantics. I'm Amelia.
I'm Danielle.
And this is our final video of 2025. What a year. We have some fun stuff today. So, Danielle, why don't you explain what we're going to be doing today?
We have two goals for this. Well, first of all, this is our end of year. Like, this was our first year as a channel. So we're so excited to end the year together. So we wanted to end with a little bit of card play. We wanted to take the cards, see what we could do with them, rather than just showing or chatting, even though we normally think we have very important things to say. And we were also going to be releasing learning intensives within the coming week on two different topics. So we want to introduce those topics to you through the play that we're going to be doing. So we're each going to be teaching each other something in relationship to the topics of our learning intensive. Sound good?
Sounds great. Let's do it.
All right. My learning intensive is on myth and divination work. That's going to be for anybody who has flirted with the idea of doing that kind of work, but has no idea where to start with it, or who has a pre-existing practice but could use some structure for that work and like some practical tools. So we are going to be doing a practical activity, and it's going to be so much fun.
I'm excited. I don't do this type of work. And so I'm excited for you to show me how to do it because I've never done it before.
Well, step one, of course, is always going to be choosing who you're working with. I want to make it really clear that for myth and divination work, it's not just mythic figures. That's a real shorthand for saying folklore, fairy tale, characters, saints, heroes, heroines, monsters. For our purposes, though, I'm going to be prescriptive. We are working with Ariadne in the Minotaur. You are working with Ariadne. I am working with the Minotaur. And I chose them not only because it's helpful to have two that are in a relationship, but I've been working with them. So I'm forcing you to do work that I've been doing.
Right.
I wanted to very quickly go over the myth for people who may recognize the names, not know this myth. So here's what you need to know about these mythic figures. They are siblings. They are, this is Greek mythology. They are in Crete. King Minos is king of Crete. His wife has given birth to an illegitimate child that is half man, half bull. This is the Minotaur. King's super mad about it. He decides to put this monster, this half man, half bull, illegitimate child, in a labyrinth. And every 9 years, 7 men, 7 women are sacrificed to the bull. Ariadne, in some versions of this myth, his half-sister, so the monster's half-sister, has to help take care of this labyrinth. There's a whole thing about Theseus. We're not dealing with that. We're looking at the first part of the myth when these two siblings, like these half-siblings, are sort of in contact in Crete and like in different versions of imprisonment, right? So like that's what we're doing today. We have 2 goals because I love a list. We have 2 goals with this activity. So this is a shortened version of that activity that we will be doing in the learning intensive. The point of this, we're going to be doing something I'm calling a deity dialogue. It is to first understand and develop the rapport with like who we're talking to. I don't know if you've ever talked to Ariadne. She's a lovely person. But if you haven't, you need to establish some kind of rapport, right? Like it's nice to introduce yourself, ask some questions. This is going on the date and being like generous and inviting information. It's also going to help you establish the foundation for your future work together. So if we're doing myth and divination work and having a core theme for that stage of our work, I might work with Ariadne in 2 years, but this time around, what is it we're focusing on? This is like our first gambit into figuring out what that work is going to be. So we're meeting and, getting to know her just a little bit and figuring out the nature of our work moving forward. I'm doing the monster. I've been very moodly lately. Monster feels on brand for me. I told you to bring 2 decks, 1 tarot and 1 oracle. I asked you to bring decks that are kind of neutral-ish, so that could work with like wherever we're going. What decks are you working with?
So I have the Haindl Tarot, which does have some influence of myth. Unfortunately, Greek is not one of them, but also is kind of pippish in nature and feels like it could belong in ancient Greece to me.
It is so pretty. That deck is so moody.
It's moody. It feels ancestral too. Like there's something very ancient about the way that this deck feels. So I have the Haindl Tarot, and then for something a little more modern, I have the Soul Mirror Oracle, which is like so different from the Haindl, but I'm excited to see how they work together. We won't show the naked lady on YouTube. So
You've been very moody lately about artistic nudity. We do not love this.
We do, especially as tarot readers, we do not love this. It's everywhere. But yeah, so, you know, female centered. It's good I'm working with Ariadne. And I appreciate this deck in particular because each keyword has underneath it kind of like a shadow and a light expression of that. So we have like growth, dying / evolving. So kind of we can work with two sides of the same coin.
I like your choices because you didn't choose decks that superficially look good next to each other necessarily, but that speak to each other for you, that feel like they're in conversation. Your tarot deck is going to be the voice of Ariadne. My tarot deck is White Numen Tarot. I never use. We're working with White Numen today because like we're on a journey, we're playing, we're looking at fun cards. So I'm using White Numen Tarot. I guess I should show some of these cards. It's a liminal 11 deck. And yes, this is going to be speaking to me as the Minotaur because he needs to speak through the cards in some way. So that's what our tarot deck is doing. Our Oracle deck is the deck that we're using to help us develop sort of framework and questions coming from our voice. So setting the tone, establishing the room. I love a good space metaphor. So crafting the room, the container for this conversation, and developing questions if we're like, I don't really know what to ask this mythic figure. I talk to these people all the time. You talk to them less. Or maybe you're really going to feel inspired. For mine, I'm using the Southern Gothic Haunts deck, the newish Oracle deck. I know that you've thought about this or you've like seen some of these cards. It felt on brand because it's monsters. And I think it's an interesting and powerful deck. I love how clear the keywords are. And we want something that's clear and conversational. This isn't the kind of exercise that we're meant to kind of sit with a few different cards and journal for a long time. This is a snappy conversation. So choose decks that speak to you and that you feel a good flow with. Grab that Oracle deck, shuffle that Oracle deck, and we are going to use our Oracle deck to develop our first question. You know some stuff about Ariadne now. I know some stuff about the Minotaur. You know the two goals are to get to know Ariadne and to figure out what is the nature of your work moving forward. See how the Oracle sets the tone for starting that conversation.
So like I should ask the Oracle like how this conversation needs to start.
Yeah, sure. I think that's a simple way of putting it. And the Oracle is going to give you the question to start that conversation.
Okay.
I'm so curious.
Okay, so I pulled the alignment card. And the kind of dual nature of this is dishonest / truthful.
Okay. What's your question for Ariadne?
So I think my question is, because she's imprisoned by having to look after the labyrinth that her brother is contained within, right? And I think I want to know, like, if she were to answer this question in like safe space, as it were, like judgment-free zone, how does she feel about that job?
I love that. And remember, it's you and her right now. I'm here too. And so are all these people. But you could be like, girl, do you hate this? Do you hate having to take care of whatever you think is the spirit and core of this?
Yeah. How do you really feel about having to tend the labyrinth. And I just pull 3 cards?
Pull 3 tarot cards, 1 to 3. Depending on the deck you use, 1 might be enough. But 1 to 3 tarot cards, and you are going to give a snappy reading that clarifies what Ariadne has to say about that. It might be it's none of your business. It might be like it's actually I'm pretty neutral about it. Whatever. See what the cards have to say.
Okay, so I got 10 of Swords, and the title for that card is Ruin. I got Mother of Stones in the West, which is the Queen of Stones in this deck. Also Spider Woman, but I'm just going to ignore the kind of
with a labyrinth on it. No.
Yes. Well, yeah. with a spider.
Oh, I see.
Spider labyrinth. And then we have Strength.
I kind of think she hates it. What do you think she thinks?
Yeah, I really feel like she feels like this is ruining her life. Like this is and what she wants to just kind of say like screw it. And
I love that because like the cards might have said depending on what you got, I don't like it, but it's okay. But I feel like those cards are like, girl, I hate it. This is miserable. My life is awful. All right, I'm going to pull an oracle card that tells me what I'm asking the Minotaur. I have Hazel the Mummy, keywords, objectification, and corruption. I'm going to open with asking the Minotaur how it feels to be treated like a monster. And while I pull some tarot cards, you're going to set aside the oracle card and set aside the tarot cards you've already used. You're not going to shuffle those back in. And let's see what the Minotaur has to say. I'm just going to pull 2 cards, mostly because this was in order and it's hard to get them super shuffled really fast. We have 9 of Cups and 9 of Swords.
Ooh, 2 9s.
Yeah. So how does it feel to be made a monster by everyone? Boy, those 2 9s. I heard once when I was learning the cards about how 9s are about isolation in that suit, in that element in some way. And something tells me he's not this, right? I mean, we're talking about siblings and like his otherness. It's not just he's in the labyrinth, but he's in the labyrinth knowing that everyone else is living their best life. Like he is understood as a monster through his difference and like removal from that kind of joy and pleasure. And all he can do is be composed with thinking about being a monster. Like that is the loop that he's on. We're also going to go with he doesn't love it. I think he and Ariadne are like not great. They're not having a great day.
We're not happy about our fate right now.
They are not loving it. So you have 2 choices for your next question. You can ask a follow-up or you can pull another oracle card and let the cards tell you what to ask.
I'm going to pull another oracle card.
Love it.
Okay. I got reflection, outward, inward. But there's something about that like vacuous hole like staring into the void. I want to ask like, well, first, like question about the myth. I know she eventually goes into the labyrinth, but like, what is the nature of her like caretaking for the labyrinth?
In some versions of the myth, she is party to like feeding him. She's the one. So King Minos has been like, you over there. She is in some ways the tender. So some like the tender of him in the labyrinth. Sometimes over that 9-year period between meals, she might be party to like feeding him or something. But she's also ultimately, of course, the one who betrays him. That's where we get the thread from. She hates her position so much that she betrays home just to leave. She says, I'll only help you, Theseus, and tell you how to kill the Minotaur if you promise to take me with you. Like, I want out of here. So she clearly feels imprisoned.
Okay, so I'm going to ask her the question. In what way does she see herself reflected in her brother?
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah, my cards are flying everywhere.
I don't normally work with two figures at the same time, but the reason I work with Ariadne and the Minotaur at the same time is because I do feel like they're two in one, like they're two sides of the same one. So I really like that question.
Okay, so I got Two of Wands, which the title is Dominion, the Hierophant, and the Wheel of Fortune.
Two of Wands, Hierophant, Wheel of Fortune. And remind us of your question.
In what way do you see yourself reflected in your brother the Minotaur?
Okay.
I think she feels this like stuck. Like she feels stuck in the way that he feels stuck. Kind of like going on this like loop. And out of like everything is out of her hands, it's out of her control. There's like somebody else pulling the strings on her life. And so I think in a certain way, like she can commiserate with him in that regard. And I have a follow-up question for her, but I'll leave it there.
Oh, I like that. Good. Save it in your mind. I kind of love that you have a follow-up. My question comes from Mothman, separation and transformation. I'll ask the Minotaur, how do you feel like this isolation, this othering has transformed you? Like, how have you changed in a core way as a result of being cast out for so long? Because we know he doesn't like it. It feels like an understatement. He doesn't think it's great. All right. We have Justice and the Five of Pentacles. Justice. These cards are so not made for the camera.
No, I didn't realize how glossy they are.
They are miserably glossy. They're lovely cardstock and very, isn't this sexy? This deck is like, the artwork is fascinating and unique. So we have Justice and Five of Pentacles. It feels like the state, what is right and wrong, will always cast him out. Like there is no, I think he has a sense that there is absolutely no making peace with people or like connecting with anyone. He is absolutely cut off, even in the most like moral construction of the human condition, you know? And I think that, I mean, just think about the notion of growing up with that increasing sense. Like going from, I feel lonely and I hope this changes, to this seems unfair, to this can never be fair. I will always be cast aside. It's kind of horrible. Not kind of, that's super horrible. What is your follow-up question for Ariadne? And we're going to do a few more questions and then we'll wrap up, but this gives people a sense of how this works. So what is your follow-up question?
I want to know if she feels any compassion toward her brother.
Ooh. I'm really glad I picked these siblings. This is interesting.
I mean, they're in such a similar but different situation. It's like he's on the inside, she's on the outside of the labyrinth, and they're both kind of, their worlds revolve. That wheel, their worlds revolve around the labyrinth.
They orbit, and there is something fascinating about the idea that she only gets to leave if she engineers his murder. I mean, it's dark and like horrific.
All right, so we got the Son of Swords in the South, which is Osiris, which is the Prince of Swords in this deck. The Sun. I love this Sun. And the Six of Swords, which is Science. the title
It's
of.
a powerful spread with the sun in the middle there. That's my favorite card in that deck.
Yeah, here's the thing though, is I think just looking at these cards and this spread, I'm getting this sense of that, like, no, she doesn't feel compassion towards him.
Ooh, how did you get there? So we don't normally need to do this because it's a quick conversation, but I think I was so dragged to the sun that I was like, maybe she cares. But why are you seeing no way?
I feel like this Six of Swords here, like it's like here, I think this is the Minotaur. That's her brother. And I think she sees herself in this sun card. She's the one on the outside. She's the one that has potential. Like she's the one that is being stifled, right? Like ultimately, hers is the life that's lost.
Okay.
Not his. He was never able. And I think there is this rationalization that she has found in the Six of Swords that like he was never going to be able to live a life. And yet, because of the nature of him, he's holding her back from being able to bloom fully. I think if anything, there's resentment.
Ooh. All right. It's fascinating the idea that she would channel her frustration or anger at being so like trapped in this role at her other trapped monster sibling. Isn't that the way it goes? Those of us with siblings, that's the way it goes.
Tale is old as time, apparently.
We could go on as long as we want. So if you were doing this by yourself at home, like you've literally an entire deck in front of you. And I think that people, when doing this exercise, and as I sort of expand upon in the learning intensive, like end with the tarot deck, unless you're getting indications sooner that it's time to wrap up the conversation. But make sure by the end of your conversation, you're clear on like the nature and theme of the kind of work you're going to be doing together. So and that's going to be my last question. So I'll ask my last question using the Oracle deck to say, like, what about whatever this card is helps me understand the nature of our work together. So Crescent Portal, Damnation and Underworld. So what about the Minotaur as a damned figure is going to be like what we're exploring together? Let's see. I would say he's in a mood too. Everybody's been in a mood.
Dear man.
We're launching 2026 with the theme of damnation. All right. I have 10 of Swords and 6 of Pentacles. Whew. I mean, the few cards I chose already make it clear that he is suffering. He is like cast aside. And yet it feels like there's something here about understanding being in the underworld and being in damnation as a kind of gift. Like he is not included in the human experience. He's not living in the way that like anyone else gets to live. But there's something that is particularly there's something about that that's kind of like growing and beautiful and whatever. Like maybe I'm looking at this, there is nothing that makes me happier than going to the dog park. I'm going to the dog park, like just being in a kind of like idyllic bliss. So what about this theme of being in the underworld, being a cast aside monster is beautiful and like, is a gift unto itself. That's something to explore.
Where's the gift? All
where's
right.
the gift? I like it. So I am done. How would you put your final question?
Well, let me pull a card. Let's see. Okay. I like keep kind of centering also around this idea of resentment toward what Ariadne perceives as like this lot that is holding her back. Which isn't altogether untrue. Like that's the thing. It's not like it is a falsehood that having to caretake her brother's labyrinth is preventing her from a different kind of a life. But I kind of wanted to pull an oracle card to elaborate on that a little bit, and I got potential. And the kind of two sides of the coin for that are confined or infinite. And so I like, especially thinking about resentment and like feeling like you're being held back, I kind of want to ask her the question, like, what don't know what like in what way like are would we let's see, something about like trading one form of confinement for another, you know what I'm saying? I'm having a difficult time like forming this question though.
Like, keep it as simple as you can. What about that theme of like, so what are you identifying the theme of, like,
Resentment towards confinement.
so how is it that, like, what is it you're meant to explore as a theme working together about the connection between resentment and confinement?
Okay,
Let Ariadne fix it for you.
let's let her tell me.
Smart lady.
um okay. So I got the Three of Stones, which is work. I got the Daughter of Stones, which is the Princess of Stones. In this deck is White Buffalo Woman. And then I also got the Son of Cups, which is Prince of Cups or Percival in this deck.
You've got face cards and you have the two female stone cards.
Yes.
The stones have been coming up for you.
Yeah. I think there's something about like reparation of relationship, like working towards repair, and being able to differentiate situation from human or from person from living thing. Yeah. And kind of being able to do the work to create a distinction between those two things.
You know, the point of leaving the dialogue, the most important thing is having, like, here are a couple sentences that I know we're doing something with, even if all you put down after all this is like reparations with the monster. We got like this to figure out. That is so rich. That is so fascinating. I'm gonna watch this video back and maybe steal that. That's so interesting. Yeah, I love this dance between Ariadne and the Minotaur. I think there's such an interesting and beautiful tension between them. All right, that is my activity. That is the little preview of the learning intensive, and it's also a fun way to end the year. Let's start 2026 with reparations with our monster self sibling, and what did I say? And the gifts of the underworld.
Yeah, the gifts of loneliness and isolation.
The gifts of isolation, loneliness, the underworld. I really like it. All right, ma'am. Miss Teacher, what is it we're going to transition to next?
All right. So my course I'm going, or my learning intensive rather, that I'm going to be releasing is all about working with the Tarot de Marseille from a creative approach and looking at it as a system that is rich with visual opportunity, and being able to make meaning from what we see in the cards. I love Tarot de Marseille. It is my favorite tradition to read with. And I feel like I can do a lot of really deep, rich, meaningful work with the Tarot de Marseille and Marseille adjacent decks. So I had Danielle bring a traditional, more classic Tarot de Marseille. So like what we think of when we think of Marseille. But I also had her bring something that is like, pips with intention is how I like to call it. So we're not talking about just like copy paste repeated pips, but pips that have some kind of intentionality behind how they are placed on the card. I brought the Tarot Droga for this this work.
Weird.
This text so much. And you can see that our pips are placed with specificity. So there's something to do with the image that is created with the pips and their backgrounds and kind of how they align with each other. My learning intensive specifically works on building a symbolic language of imagery, of the imagery that can be found in the Marseille Tarot, and being able to approach the cards with confidence and fluidity. So rather than a formulaic approach, this is a symbolic and playful approach to the cards. So I had Danielle. We're not going to be working with or building symbolic language together today, but I had Danielle go ahead and with her Marseille decks, I had her separate the majors from the minors and courts. Danielle, what decks did you bring with you today? I showed mine.
I brought the Estrella Tarot. This is absolutely a Tarot de Marseille with an attitude deck. So the minors are organized in the Marseille tradition, except you get picks like this. I have to say, I struggle with some of the choices of figures. I've got some issues with Michael Jackson, but the deck is a French beauty, and I forgive some of these choices. But, we have Erykah Badu is the High Priestess. Very interesting and vibrant and playful in its own way. And for the other pips with feelings deck, I brought the Othrysian Tarot, which I've been doing a lot of work with and is like a much more somber version of a pip deck. And I'm just like, the myth. We were just doing myth. I am living for myth and Greek myth and all of it. We have Hecate.
Love it.
High priest. Hecate is the high priestess, and Erykah Badu is the high priestess. I live.
I love it. Okay, so the way we're going to approach, I think when a lot of people who are newer to Marseille, working with Marseille, the majors are kind of a non-issue for us. These translate very easily to other traditions that we know and love very well. This is the origin of tarot, if you will, or a version of the origin of tarot. And so I'm going to be working with this as kind of a thematic and archetypal energy. And Danielle, I'm going to let you choose. We can either pull out our 2026 cards. So if you've done that math, then we can kind of start to work with that. Or we can choose at random. I'm going to let that be your choice.
I'm going to choose 2026 cards. I haven't gone through and really taken a careful look. It's a sun year for me, and that is not a card I've worked with a lot. I do tend, when I read for people, to say the star and the sun are here to shine on us in some beautiful way. So it's exciting for it to be. It feels not very underworld, feels not very Minotaur. But what does it mean when the Minotaur comes in the sun? So this is my sun.
I love it. And so a lot of people, myself included, see reading pips and pippish decks as something that is where you go for your practical, grounded advice. And so I want to challenge us to work with these archetypes and find action items that we can pull from those archetypes to incorporate into our lives. If this is the myth the theme, the abstract that I'm working with, then how can I bring that down into reality? And I'll walk you through kind of a visual approach to the cards as we lay them out. But I want you to reflect. So I guess I should say my card for 2026 is the Emperor. I was in a world card year, so technically everything adds up to 22. Sometimes people will put the Fool in for that, but like, I don't know. I'm driving with the Emperor, so that's what we're going to choose for 2026. So yes, reflect on your card and ask the question how you can act on, or in what way can you act on the theme that is brought forward from this card.
Okay, and I'm just using the minors, not the quartz.
Just using the minors. So set your majors aside, ignore them. They are no longer useful for you. Because we're not making it easy on ourselves. We are just going to be working with pips now.
I'm realizing that my favorite TDM decks are linen. There seems to be something interesting and sensory about like a good TDM deck that's made for shuffling.
Yeah, they're like made to be like beat up, destroyed.
They're not precious in that like, people aren't asking us to make them precious, or when they're not, I like that. So I'm just picking one minor.
3 cards.
3 minors. Okay.
And then tell us what your cards are.
I have the 3 of Cups, the 4 of Coins, and the 9 of Cups. And let me 3 of Cups, 4 of Coins, and 9 of Cups.
Okay, beautiful. I pulled the 3 of Coins, the 7 of Cups, and the King of Coins.
Okay.
So I get a person. Okay, so the first thing that I want you to do is I want you to set your cards underneath your major. So put your 3 cards in a row underneath your major, and then I want you to look at the visual elements that repeat from your major card to your minor card. So what shared visual elements do you see between these cards?
Am I talking out loud? Can I share these out loud?
You can totally share out loud. And these can be things like, angles that you see, colors that you see repeated, general forms maybe that might be present.
I see the roundness of the coins like coming through in the centrality of the sun, the round sun. And I like the flowers on either like bottom side of the sun repeated here. That makes me happy.
Okay, so we're first going to think about the roundness of that coin. When you think about the archetype of the sun reflected in the roundness of those coins, like what does that conjure for you? Like what kind of visual story can you begin to tell when you think about a round sun?
A round sun. Well, coming out of the moon that is like cyclical and moody in different shapes, I like the completeness of the round sun. Like it's always round. Like there's always visual clarity about its shape and fullness. I love the brightness. We get like the yellowish circle within that coin. Like
they also have like the rays coming off of them the way that the sun does.
Oh yeah, good call. It's those rays feel like a kind of vibrancy springing out, like the roundness and completeness of the circle is like contagious or like spreads its arms to the world around it, kind of enlivening everything and making things grow.
And when you think about, I'm going to latch on to the other element that you noticed, which were the flowers. If you can piggyback with those flowers that you see repeated off, how does that continue the story?
Ooh. Well, if we're thinking of like the sun and that roundness as like feeding growth, it it is like, especially here with the sun kind of raining down these rays, the sun in that brightness and what it sends out absolutely is like what blooms the sunflowers. These are sunflowers, so they're following the sun and especially responsive to the sun. It's like there's a kind of robustness and enlivening of something that was growing a little bit that all of a sudden is like really blooming. It feels like a blooming moment. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Okay, hold that thought, and I'm going to work through some of the visual elements of my cards. Okay, so the first thing that really stands out to me, which is going to be super duh, is I noticed like a symmetry of posture between our Emperor here on top and our King of Coins here on the bottom. However, the Emperor is he's a little bit more erect, and our King of Coins is perhaps a bit more casual. But there's something about this like kind of taking your seat, right? And really, I've been working with the majors as presented in the Tantra Takini Oracle. And the name for the Emperor card in that oracle is the hot seat. Which I think is so fascinating. It's like it's all focused on the chair, the throne of the emperor. And so to me, there's something here in the Emperor card that's asking me to like kind of assume my throne, right? Like take a seat in that position. I also see in the coin that he is holding and the coins here, I see some slight symmetry as in the shield that the Emperor has by his side. It's not a perfect circle, but I see like kind of this like roundish sort of flat surface, right? That we've got present in two of our minor cards, as well as at the base of our Emperor's throne. And so to me, there's something there also about this like kind of protective nature of the Emperor. And, to be, I don't know, to be stereotypical, like this idea of like setting boundaries and kind of like putting up walls where walls need to be built, sort of thing. Yeah, those are kind of the two things that really stand out to me. Layer number 2, I'm going to ask you, so you're telling this story about like kind of this like radiating energy that's really inspiring and pushing up growth.
Yes.
What do you see in the imagery of the cards below, of your minor cards, that stands in contrast with what you see in your major card, in your sun?
I didn't really bring this one up. So the 9 is, there are so many cups that even though there's growth, it's confined and like thin. There's not blooming happening. They seem like these leaves and the flowers look like dried, like they've been flattened. They're not blooming. They're sort of stagnant because of all that crowding on the card. And I do feel like this is blooming, but the blooming we see here is freewheeling. It's like coming up and going in any direction. I feel like the 4 does not have patience for that. It is very ordered. It feels like less blooming is happening. They feel more alive than they do in the 9, these flowers, but they don't feel as like unconstrained and going different places and diverse and beautiful as they do in the sun and in the 3 of Cups.
So, and I see that ordered nature in that 9 of Cups as well, where everything's all like it's boxed in, it's got its place, like,
yeah,
that's organization right there. Is what that is. That's what that card communicates to me. Okay. So hold on to that. We're gonna synthesize all of this together in the end, I promise. I know it's like a lot and we're kind of going back and forth. Okay. So in contrast to the Emperor, I pointed out earlier the kind of like casual nature of our King of Coins. So he's a little bit slouched. He's not as erect and upright. He seems like he is, I don't know, he doesn't take his position on the throne as seriously as our like Emperor, you know?
Yep.
I didn't bring up the Seven of Cups. This feels so like ornamental and roundish. Like it feels a bit more organic than the Emperor feels. See how in our Emperor we have a lot of straight lines in his like breast. We like also in his, I don't know what you call that, his staff. There's a lot of like really, there's severity to the Emperor, and this is a soft card. And I even see some softness kind of surrounding our shields, if you will, in our Three of Coins here. So it seems like what I'm seeing overall, in contrast to the Emperor below, or to the Emperor kind of in these below cards, is this like kind of soft, lackadaisical nature. Yes. Okay. So now we're moving into like the third part where we're synthesizing all of this information. So going back to our original question, which is, how can I act on this energy? What's some way that I can bring action on this energy? And what we have here in our supporting, so what do we see reflected? What do we see mirrored in our 3 pip cards from our major? That is what you should do. It's like, do this, right? And then what we saw in contrast is your don't do. So if you were to come up with a do this, don't do that sentence, for each one based off of what you pulled, what do you got?
So I didn't know how this would go, but this is so helpful framing my card of the year. So for the sun, it feels like an invitation to like let myself grow wildly. I see growth in all 3 of these minor cards, but I don't see in every card like that 4 and that 9, this sort of uncontrolled, like beautiful raining down
it's like radiance.
Yes, that radiant wildness. Like there is no order to these sunflowers. They're just growing. And that it feels like that contrasting message, the confined and kind of deadness, like dryness of these plants, and the over-ordered formality of this growth is a warning not to. I have some creative ideas for the year about not being too uniform or like regimented. Let myself be creatively wild a little bit, like be a little unpoliced, or like allow that unstructured. I am a Libra. I love a list.
So your caution is structure. Like
it feels like, it's okay to have the stuff, like to have my list of flowers that I want to grow, but let them grow on their own terms and be a little wild. I love this, Amelia. What's yours?
Okay, so if I'm looking at my Emperor here and what I saw reflected in the cards, I would say that my sentence of what I need to do is, really assume my position in what it is that I want to achieve, and like really protect the space that I need to protect in order to make that happen. And my caution is to not become too casual and it's like we have opposite readings here, but my caution is like not to become too lackadaisical, too casual in my approach, oh, that can get done late, like stop extending deadlines.
Yeah.
But sit in that position with power and with authority, and really protect that space, and be very yeah, be very like ordered and structured in the approach. Yeah. So that's working with Marseille, or a way to work with Marseille.
I love it. This makes me, when we're all done, want to pull out these cards, these same cards, in my other pip deck and lay them out and see like what's happening to expand the lesson. That was so much fun.
But you notice how we didn't ever touch on like the meaning was found in the imagery of the cards, the message, the answer to our question was found in the imagery of the cards. And that's what I really kind of want to encourage as an approach to working with Marseille, just as a way to play. If we have time, we could maybe do a little quickie with our other deck if we feel like we're kind of...
Sure, why not?
Yeah. Okay. All right. So now we're going to pick at random our major for our theme. And let's go through this. Now that we kind of get the gist, let's go through it a little bit more. Okay. Aha. I got the Hierophant.
I got the star.
I love him with his sheep.
It's so beautiful.
Okay. And ask the question, how can I bring this energy into action? How can I act on this energy?
In case and I'll kind of sit and look, but I got the Messenger of the South, or Knave of Cups, or I'm sorry, of Wands, like Page of Wands, the Two of Cups, and the Pillar of the North, or King of Coins.
Ooh. See, that is not a casual King of Coins.
No, he is not. This has a lot of that like cut and dry emperor energy.
So I got the 10 of Cups, the Knight of Cups, and the 10 of Swords.
Such an unusual, beautiful deck.
I love this deck so much.
Can you pull that Knight of Cups a little closer? Lovely.
There's so much texture in this deck. I've been loving a texture recently. I don't know what it is. Okay. So what I see reflected visually, and so we're moving away from traditional Marseille, but it still can be done with an intentional pip deck, if you will. The first thing that really stands out to me is this sort of like almost triangular shape made from the Hierophant and the two sheep, the two lambs that are below him. And I see that reflected in the way these cups are stacked on top of each other. It's almost like this like kind of direction upward, or dissemination from up and out and down. I also see kind of a mirroring between the white horse here and our white lambs, as well as this sword off to the side in our 10 of Swords. I see as a reflection of the staff in the Hierophant's hand. What do you see in your cards?
The star and the Two of Cups, which is at the center of the three cards, both are like both have this symmetry and are pulling up, like something's arising from them. And they also share a color language. So I'm really seeing like something transcendent happening. and coming forth from what's bottom. And again, with that symmetry on either side of those two cups are these two figures. Like, it feels like there's something like those two figures are coming up through the cups to like make a heart. Oh no, not exactly a heart. Like, there's something to say about these two figures, but let me look. Like, the pointiness of the stars is like, it feels like it's looking at this, the angularity at the top of the wand, or and this kind of angularity. Like, there's, and that's what's rising.
When his body is very angular too. And that coins.
He is, I mean, I feel like he has something on your emperor.
I know.
The emperor would look at him and say, "You have no chill."
Yeah. He's so voicing for. And also, does your page have wings?
He does. All of the
Oh, right, because they're messengers.
all of the pages are messengers. They're actually air spirits in Greek mythology. So yes.
I just see him in that bird that's in the star.
Oh yeah.
Ponder that. Think about it.
Okay.
And then I'll point out the things that I see in contrast. So our emperor is facing, or our hierophant is facing forward. Like, there's something, he's so open.
Yeah.
And like, there's like a directness to him. And in our knight down here, he is not. He is facing sideways. He's got his arm over his chest. He's like, his intentions are elsewhere. His focus is not on the, what's in front of him. The people, the sheep at his feet. I also see, as like a contrast, there's like, what do I see in contrast? These cups feel really like bright. Like, there's a vibrancy to them that I just don't see in this Hierophant. And part of, like, this is not what I would describe as a vibrant deck to begin with. But even so, like, we have this like blood red sitting on the lap of the Hierophant. And then we have blue, like this very bright, cool, almost refreshing blue. I feel like it would like wash that red away, you know. And to me, well, I'll get into meaning later, but that's kind of what I'm seeing here. And then the background of the swords is, I mean, there's kind of like these abstract clouds. And this feels like, well, this feels very on the earth, very grounded, it's like, it's dark. There's a very dark green in the background. This feels like it is up in the sky.
Fascinating. So here it feels like we're looking at, like, of course, there's something beautiful rising in the star, and there's a lot of movement here running towards the growth to the higher, but like that only brings into relief how absolutely static this figure is. It's not facing like the transcending heart, or like if I put the star above it, that like there's no triangle energy and there's no movement. We have the wings that you pointed out on the page, and then this guy who's not even seeing that guy and has his like arms and legs all in lines. And there's also, with all of these, there are like not really, there are straight lines in as much as like straight lines make up these angular beautiful things rising, but there's no pillars. There's nothing stayed, except for here we have everything is just straight lines. They're not like making anything beautiful. It just feels really heavy. it's called a pillar. The kings are pillars in this deck, you know. It feels that pillar heaviness and seriousness comes through. It's not that the other cards don't feel serious, it's that they confer a kind of lightness, or like, I think the star invites solemnity, but like not that pillar of the north. So I see, of course, like I see other differences, but looking at them all together, it's really something magical is happening with the star and these two cards on this side. And then this guy comes in to like harsh everyone's vibe.
It feels like such a dead weight on that, like the levity of the other two cards.
Like there's something, you know, the Asteria is coming out of the water to transcend here, and he's holding her back. There's just no, I'm mad at him.
You're mad at him? I love it.
I am mad at him.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to my cards, and I'm going to give you a sentence of how, like, what to act on with the Hierophant and kind of a caution, or what not to do. So we're starting with our Hierophant, and I'm going to go back to, there was one thing that just really stood out to me as a shared element between our Hierophant and my 3 cards, and that was this like kind of triangular, you know, shape, and this idea of like dissemination, right? So we're starting with one idea here at the top, and we're spreading out, and then also just the plurality of these 2 sheep, and then we've got our dude with this horse, like the companionship of it all. And the sentence that I came up with for like ways to act is that like knowledge, information, ideas are intended to be shared. They are intended to be like spread out. And then the caution that I'm receiving is to not water down or be too stuck in the like, to keep your head in the clouds when it comes to what it is that you're sharing. Like keep the grit, keep the blood, keep the earthiness of your ideas and your, you know, what it is that you have, and don't wash that away. Don't wash your own thoughts for palatability.
I like that.
So yeah,
I really like that. So I'm looking at this down here, like by far looking at, there he is. Yep, again. I'm really mad at this card. There's all of this lightness, like actual just white space in the top 3 cards, and this blue kind of spiritual solemnity down here. This feels like it's pulling my attention to my interest in and pursuit of these kind of like hyper spiritual esoteric inquiries. And the sentence goes something like, you know, seeking those ideas or truth is, and all of that high-mindedness is active and playful and like relational even, you know, like there's something so soft and energetic about seeking those higher truths. The roteness and rigidity is like stunting, you know. It's easy to get kind of high-minded about this stuff, and forget how soft and like actual wonder filled and fun all of these ideas are, how much they move. I'm just getting this like the curviness, the curving here.
there's movement.
Yeah, the curving in the wings, and how much, not even thinking about the meaning of the cards, but there's such kind of joy there. Like there's something so beautiful about that motion. And even though I don't think this has joyful colors, there's something beautiful and true, like the whiteness of that center star coming out from all of that movement and play. And then this dude. Like it feels like a, you know, what was your lesson. Oh, this is again the opposite of what you got from your last reading. This, your last exploration of the Emperor felt like an invitation to lean into the throne and the seriousness. And I like the Emperor sometimes, like we need to sit in his throne. This ain't that time. This is not that
moment. And I feel like this is affirming the reading you got with the Sun too, of like, this is going to be your moment of levity.
I'm so excited. I am excited. This just got me more excited for 2026. I haven't been bummed about it, but like, it's nice. It's nice to explore what that Sun is about. Can I just show you the Valet de Baton? Is Back to the Future.
I was like to say, is that Marty McFly?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Right. Cool. We love it.
All right.
Yeah, so that's working with Marseille, doing some kind of development focused work with it. Yeah, what's next? What are we doing?
We are doing a reading for the collective. And I have to say, even if you aren't able to do our learning intensives, that should give you a taste of the kind of fun that we have in learning this stuff. That was so fun. And I didn't know it was coming, and she didn't know it was coming. But our reading for the collective, something we are all doing together, is a question for the upcoming week, the upcoming year. And what were we saying? Like, what to playfully like learn, or
how can we lean into like approaching learning with a playful attitude?
I like it. And we're sticking with Estrella Tarot because I'm happy with her.
Are you pulling one card? How many cards are you pulling?
I'm just gonna pull one. We can our two card. What deck are you using right now?
Haindl.
Those are very different moods.
I love it. Okay. Oh, we have a jumper. Oh God. And we get the 5 of Swords, or defeat.
That is such a grotesque painting. Like that. Isn't that like a horse's face or something? I find that to be such a grotesque image. Here's the 9 of Coins in the Estrella Tarot. This makes me actually those orange and the blue greens. They show the same color language with very different outcomes. I like mine better. Okay, so how can we lean into playful learning?
This feels like, okay, so I see in your leaves in the center of your 9 of Coins, I see it almost reflected in this like opening here between the horse's face and whatever. There's some other furry animal above the horse here. And we see the sky in the background. I feel like there's some energy of like breaking open, right? I feel like this 5 of Swords is a caution against like exerting too much, like putting too much effort, like trying too hard.
I mean, we have this square down here and this square up here. Those feel like they're speaking to that animal at the bottom and the animal at the top. And this is where the growth and play happens. Like right there in the center between that mess. Like, and it also, I mean, if these beautiful 4s, like, are that grotesque horse thing, that incomprehensible animal at the top, we don't love those 4s. We want to be here. Like, we want this. That's where the flowers are springing from. Like what's happening there in the center without all of that pressure. Those 2 4s and those 2 animals feel like they're really pressing up and breaking the swords, like pressing up against each other.
It feels like there's this like tight clenching,
yes.
Right? And what like play can be found in the release.
Yes. I really like that. I also like these leaves. You pointed to the leaves as the shapes over there. These form the boundaries that protect this play that's happening here. Like hold those boundaries, like build a wall around our permission to play. So I really like that. I'm on board. This feels very Sun. This feels
very fun. Meanwhile, I'll be over here having my emperor year with my like lists and my schedule.
All right, Amelia, take us home.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this play. Like we said, yes, this does like introduce some topics that we're going to be covering in some learning intensives, which if you're watching this on the day it releases, which is January 31st, 2025, will be within the week. If you're watching it,
December 31st.
December, did I say January 31st? Oh my gosh. Okay. December 31st, 2025. The learning intensives will be released within the week. If you're watching after that, then head on over to our website to check them out. We'll put all of the information in the description box below where you can find us on social media as well as our website, so you can check those out, as well as book us for a reading. We hope you had fun. We hope you try these. And if you do, let us know. How did it go? But until next time, friends, we will see you in the lab.
Happy New Year.